Cloaked in the humble attire of an elderly villager, Amanda Okesi sat quietly at the very back of the church. Her face was shrouded, and her presence was utterly unremarkable. No one spared her a glance. No one suspected she was the very person they had gathered to bury. Yet, Amanda was far from dead. She had meticulously faked her own demise, driven by an urgent need to unearth the truth. For months, a chilling unease had settled deep within her. Kelvin, her husband, had grown distant, his actions shrouded in an unsettling secrecy. Her closest confidant, Linda, was now a constant, unsettling shadow by his side, and her parents, ever eager for financial support, had only intensified their pleas for money. A stark question began to haunt her. If she were truly gone, who would mourn her? And who would merely covet her fortune? Thus, she meticulously orchestrated her vanishing act. A staged accident, a charred vehicle, a body too disfigured for full identification. The world believed Amanda Okesi was dead. Now, she was an invisible witness to her own elegy. The hall was packed, filled with mourners. Some wept openly, while others merely feigned their sorrow. At the very front, Amanda's mother, Madame Okzi, sobbed dramatically, but Amanda knew the tears were as hollow as a drum. Her father sat stoically beside her, their shared glances betraying not grief, but a palpable anxiety for what lay ahead. Then her gaze landed on Kelvin, somber in black, seated beside the coffin. But it was the sight of Linda, her best friend, beside him, holding his hand draped in matching black lace that sent a sickening jolt through Amanda's chest. Just 2 days after her death, their sordid truth was already brazenly on display. Amidst the charade, only one face bore the indelible mark of genuine sorrow. Kioma, her younger sister. Kioma looked utterly spent, her eyes raw and swollen from days of relentless crying. She walked slowly with a heavy heart to the coffin and gently touched its polished surface. "Big sister," she choked out, her voice raw with anguish. "You promised we'd be together forever. You said you'd help me finish school. You said you'd be there on my wedding day. Why did you leave me?" She crumpled to her knees, her voice breaking completely. 2 women rushed forward to support her. A wave of desperate longing washed over Amanda. Tears blurred her vision, a fierce urge to comfort Kioma, to reveal the truth, swelling within her. But she held back, forcing herself to watch as she turned her gaze once more to Kelvin and Linda. They were whispering, then, unbelievably, a faint smile played on their lips. Amanda sank back into her seat, her face hardening into a mask of grim resolve. Kioma was her only true ally, the solitary soul who genuinely loved her. The others, she was now certain, were vultures circling her estate, and this, she knew, was merely the prelude. The final blessings had barely faded, the last hymn barely sung, when the true drama began to unfold. Still concealed in her humble disguise, Amanda lingered discreetly outside the church, near the departing cars. People were slowly dispersing, but her parents remained, as did Kelvin and Linda. From a secluded corner, feigning the weariness of an aged mourner, Amanda pulled her wrapper tighter, her head bowed, yet her ears were acutely tuned, eager to capture every damning word. Madame Okzi wasted no time. Turning sharply to Kelvin, she declared, "Now that everything is concluded, we must discuss her properties. Amanda had no children. By tradition, her wealth rightfully reverts to us, her parents. That is the proper course." Kelvin's brow furrowed. "Excuse me, madam," he retorted, his voice rising. "I was her husband. We were legally married. I have rights too. Her father, usually reserved, now barked. You? What job do you even hold? What money did you ever contribute? Amanda fed you, clothed you, provided you with cars, even funded your business. You only became anything because of her. Kelvin's voice hardened. That doesn't alter the fact that I'm her husband. You can't push me aside. I was with her every single day. I know what she wanted. She would never want her parents to take over everything. Linda, ever so composed, stepped forward, her voice cutting through the tension with an icy clarity. We all know Amanda had plans to include me in her will. She told me herself that I would handle some of her businesses if anything happened. I was her closest friend. Amanda's father let out a harsh, incredulous laugh. Friend? So now you want to collect our daughter's things too? What kind of friend are you? Amanda watched, an invisible specter, her heart thumping against her ribs. They were already tearing each other apart like wild beasts. No one spoke of her memories, her dreams, or the life she had lived. It was all about land, buildings, cars, bank accounts. Her mother's voice rose in a shrill shriek. Her father hurled insults at Kelvin, who, in turn, jabbed his fingers accusingly. Linda stood in the center, a self-appointed queen, attempting to lay claim to what was not hers. Then, a sudden tightness gripped Amanda's chest. Kioma appeared, her small frame radiating exhaustion, her face puffy and red from relentless weeping. Her voice, though soft, resonated with an unwavering firmness. This is not the time, she declared. You are all arguing like vultures over a body that is still warm. What about Amanda? Does anyone even miss her? Her parents whirled to face her. Her mother snapped, Keep quiet, Kioma. You're too young to speak on matters like this. But Kioma didn't falter. I may be young, but I was the only one who truly loved her. The only one who didn't take anything from her. She sent me to school. She listened to me. She told me her fears. She worked so hard. And now that she's gone, you are all here tearing everything apart. Linda rolled her eyes, a dismissive flick of her head. Oh, please don't act holy. This is adult talk. Kioma fixed her with an unyielding stare. You're not even family. Kelvin stepped forward, his voice a warning. Kioma, don't disrespect her. Amanda held her breath, a searing heat rising in her chest. Kelvin was openly defending Linda right in front of her family. The betrayal was a physical blow. She had trusted them both, given them her heart, and now they were squabbling over her properties as if she were nothing. Kioma began to weep again, a broken whisper. This was not our promise, Amanda. Why did you die? Why now? I can't take this. I hate all of you. She turned and ran. Slowly, Amanda rose. Her heart shattered. Every fiber of her being screamed to chase after Kioma, to hold her, to tell her it was all a cruel charade. But not yet. She needed to see this through, to expose the very people who claimed to love her. She cast one last, lingering look at her parents, her husband, and her best friend. All of them were consumed by anger, not from the loss of her, but from the ravenous desire for what she had left behind. Amanda clenched her fists. They had buried her too early. Now they would discover that the woman they thought was gone was still watching, and she was seething with a silent rage. Later, in the quiet, echoing silence of the house that had once been Amanda's, Kelvin and Linda sat together. The air was still, yet their thoughts buzzed with a shared anticipation. The house would soon be theirs. Everything Amanda had owned, from the thriving Businesses to the sleek cars, the grand houses, the overflowing bank accounts. They wanted it all. Kelvin stared blankly at the wall in front of him. It still feels unreal, he said, the word barely a whisper in the silent room. She's gone. Just like that. No stress, no fight, no divorce. Gone. Linda met his gaze, a knowing glint in her eyes. That's what you wanted? Kelvin gave a small, almost imperceptible nod. Yes, I wanted it. I was tired of pretending, tired of living under her shadow. She acted like she was better than everyone just because she had money. Linda leaned closer, her voice conspiratorial. But you got what you wanted. She's out of the way. Now we focus on the real thing, taking everything she left behind. Kelvin was quiet for a moment, then spoke. Her parents are a problem. They're already fighting like the property belongs to them. Linda added, they think just because she had no child, everything reverts to them. But they forgot she was married. Kelvin nodded. Legally married. I was her husband. Even if we had issues, we were still married. That gives me rights. They don't want to hear that. Her father told me to my face that I brought nothing into Amanda's life, that I was just eating from her hand. Kelvin laughed, a harsh, bitter sound. He's not wrong. I didn't have much, but Amanda didn't build all that by herself either. I helped. I was beside her. I supported her. I stayed quiet. I waited. Now it's my turn to enjoy. Linda smiled, a slow, predatory curve of her lips. And what about me? Kelvin looked at her, his expression softening slightly. You know, I've always wanted you, even before Amanda. Linda nodded. I remember. But you chose her. She had the money, the name. I had no choice. I needed that life. I needed to escape poverty. Amanda was the key, and she gave me what I needed. But you, Linda, were always the one I wanted in my bed, the one I wanted as my wife. Linda's face lit up, a flicker of triumph in her eyes. So now we make it official. Yes, Kelvin affirmed. Once the papers are done, once the lawyers transfer everything, we leave this country. We get married, start our life. Rich, free. Linda sat up straighter. So what are we doing about her parents? Kelvin's voice dropped, a chilling undertone. If they continue to block me, I'll remove them. Linda's eyes widened, a flicker of surprise, then intrigue. You mean, I've spoken to someone, Kelvin said, his gaze unwavering. He handles things. He'll scare them first. If they don't back off, he'll do more. Linda remained silent for a moment, then a slow smile spread across her face. You're serious? I'm not playing anymore. I've waited too long. They are old. They have no power. They should just stay quiet and enjoy what I give them. If they refuse, then they disappear. Linda nodded, her smile growing wider. That's my man. Kelvin looked into her eyes, a shared resolve binding them. We've come too far to fail now. Amanda's gone. This is our time. All we have to do is finish the plan. Linda leaned forward. So, let me understand. The house, the company shares, the boutique, the estate lands, everything is going to be moved under your name? Yes, Kelvin confirmed. The lawyer said the process has started. There's just some delay because of her parents. They're trying to fight it. But I've told the lawyer to fast-track it. I don't care how. And the cars are all already in my name, he added. She did that while she was alive. Linda laughed, a sound devoid of warmth. You planned this well. Kelvin leaned back, a smug satisfaction on his face. It's called patience. Amanda was too proud. She thought because she gave me things, I would always obey her. She never thought I had my own plans. Linda asked him, so what happens to her sister? The small one, Kioma. Yes. Kelvin waved a dismissive hand. She's a child. She'll cry for some weeks and move on. She has no say in this. Are you sure? That girl loved Amanda too much. And what can she do? Cry in the corner? She has no lawyer, no money, no voice. Let her cry. I'll give her something small when we're done so she can leave us alone. Linda laughed. You're wicked. Kelvin grinned. I'm smart. That's the difference. A silence settled in the room. Both of them stared at the ceiling for a moment. Then Linda spoke again. Sometimes I wonder what Amanda would do if she could see all this. Kelvin chuckled. She'd scream. She'd try to fight. She was always the fighter. But she's not here now, Linda said. I thought you were joking. I wasn't, he said. I was tired. She controlled everything. She even started talking about changing her will, giving part of it to her sister, removing me. That was when I knew I had to move. You did the right thing, Linda said. Kelvin looked at her intently. Do you trust me? Linda didn't blink. With my life. Then follow my lead. Don't talk to anyone. Don't make noise. Just wait. In 2 weeks, we'll be free, rich, untouchable. Linda nodded slowly. I'm ready. Kelvin stood up and looked around the opulent room. Everything in this house is ours now. Soon the papers will say the same. All Amanda's years of working, building, running up and down. It all ends with us. Linda smiled proudly. That's what happens when people don't see what they have. She was busy chasing the world and forgot the snake in her house. She thought I was loyal, Kelvin said, a cruel twist to his lips. But loyalty is for fools. Linda laughed. And love? Kelvin looked her in the eye. Love is for the rich, and now we're about to be very, very rich. A new silence settled, this time filled with raw greed and self-satisfaction. They had waited long enough. Now the game was firmly in their hands. All they needed to do was move quietly, remove any lingering obstacles, and collect their grand prize. Amanda's death was not just a tragedy to them. It was a door, and they had already walked through it. Meanwhile, Kioma sat alone in her room, clutching a photograph of Amanda. Her eyes were swollen and red, her heart a heavy aching weight in her chest. Every time she looked at her sister's smiling face, she felt utterly lost. Amanda was more than a sister. She was her best friend, her unwavering support, her second mother. Losing her felt like losing everything. She thought back to the last time they had spoken. Amanda had sounded so tired, her voice laced with a subtle dread. Kioma, she had confided, people are changing around me. I don't know who to trust anymore. Kioma had warned her, urged her to be careful with Linda, told her that Kelvin was no good. But Amanda hadn't listened. Just then, her bedroom door burst open. It was her mother, her hands on her hips, her face contorted with anger. So this is where you've been hiding, she snapped. Kioma quickly wiped her face. Mama, what is it now? Her mother stepped inside, her eyes blazing with fury. You are here crying and sleeping while your father and I are outside fighting for your sister's properties. Kioma frowned, her voice tinged with confusion. Fighting for what? For what belongs to us? Her mother snapped. For your sister's things, or do you want that useless Kelvin to take everything? Keoma slowly sat up, the pieces of the puzzle clicking into place. So that's what this is about? You're not crying for Amanda, you're angry because you want her money, her mother hissed, pointing a finger at her. Don't talk to me like that. I'm your mother. You should be standing with us. We're fighting for your sister's wealth. That boy, that nobody, that jobless Kelvin, he wants to take everything. And you're just sitting here doing nothing. Keoma's voice rose, a sharp edge of disbelief. I thought you loved Amanda. I thought you were mourning her. Her mother laughed bitterly. Yes, we loved her. But love is not enough. We cannot fold our hands and watch our daughter's hard work go into the hands of a boy who never brought anything to her life. Keoma's heart pounded faster as she stared at her mother, disbelief etched on her face. Mama, are you hearing yourself? You are talking about Amanda like she's a bag of money. She was our daughter, her mother snapped, refusing to listen. We warned her not to marry that poor boy. We told her to marry someone from a good family, someone who has something of his own. But she said no. She was stubborn. Now look what's happening. That foolish Kelvin is even sleeping with her best friend. Keoma shouted. I told her. Mama, I told her about Linda. I told her not to trust that girl, but she didn't listen to me. Her mother stepped closer. Then why are you not helping us? Join me and your father. Let's fight for what belongs to us. Keoma stood up, anger surging through her. Mama, what if Amanda already wrote a will? What if she shared her properties before she died? Her mother scoffed. Never. Even if she did, that boy must not get anything. I won't allow it. Not after everything we've been through. I need enough money to look good, to enjoy life. When your sister was alive, she barely sent us money, always saying business is bad. Yet she was giving Kelvin everything. That lazy, jobless boy. Keoma's eyes widened. Wait, is that what this is about for you? You want her money now, because you feel she didn't give you enough before? Her mother didn't blink. Exactly. When she was alive, I couldn't even buy good lace. I couldn't even take care of myself. Well, she always said, Mama, be patient. Business is slow. But now I know the truth. She was feeding Kelvin and his people. She was building that man's life while we were suffering. No more. I want to enjoy now that she's gone. Keoma felt like the ground beneath her was shaking. Her own mother, the woman who had brought Amanda into the world, was speaking like this, as if Amanda was merely a source of wealth. You're unbelievable, Keoma said softly, her voice trembling. I thought I was alone because I lost my sister, but now I know I'm truly alone. Her mother folded her arms. You better stop talking nonsense. Join us now. The lawyer is already preparing documents. We'll take this thing to court if we have to. Keoma, her hand shaking, grabbed her bag. No, I can't stay in this house anymore. Where are you going? Her mother demanded sharply. To my boyfriend's place. Her mother's voice escalated into a loud shriek. Which boyfriend? That poor boy? Haven't you learned anything? This is how your sister started. We warned her too. She said, love matters more than money. Look at her now, dead. Keoma's hands trembled, but her voice was steady, filled with a cold fury. Don't you dare use Amanda like that. Don't you ever. She gave everything to this family. You used her when she was alive, and now you want to fight over her things like vultures. Her mother pointed at her again, a venomous finger. Keoma, If you walk out of that door, you will end up just like your sister. Mark my words." Keoma stared at her mother, her voice chillingly calm. "Then I'd rather end up like her than become like you." Her mother gasped. "What did you just say?" Keoma's response was swift, cutting. "Mama, you will go and join your ancestors before I ever become like you." Her mother raised her hand to strike, but Keoma didn't flinch. She turned and walked out, her legs weak but her heart burning with a fierce defiance. She walked down the street, tears silently streaming down her face, her phone clutched in her hand. She had lost her sister, and now she had truly lost her parents too. Arriving at her boyfriend's house, she knocked. The door opened, and he saw her face. Without a word, he pulled her into a comforting hug. That night, Keoma couldn't sleep. Her mother's cruel words echoed in her mind. All those years, Amanda had worked tirelessly, helped countless people, remained strong, and this was the gratitude she received. Keoma looked up at the ceiling and whispered, "Sister, I don't know if you can hear me, but I swear I won't let them destroy your name. I won't let them fight like animals over what you built. I don't care about the money. I just want the truth. And I will find it." Kelvin sat inside his car, his hands trembling. His jaw was clenched, and his heart boiled with a potent anger. For 2 long weeks he had waited. 2 full weeks since Amanda's funeral. He had been certain that by now, everything, the house, the businesses, the lands, the cars, would be legally under his name. But nothing had changed. The lawyer was dragging his feet, and Kelvin was tired of waiting. That afternoon, he drove straight to the lawyer's office. No appointment, no call. He simply walked in, filled with simmering rage, ready to seize control. Mr. Olanier, the lawyer, looked up from his desk as Kelvin entered without knocking. His face showed no surprise, only a calm detachment. He deliberately closed his file and leaned back in his chair. "I need to speak to you now," Kelvin demanded, standing tall over the desk. "Speak," the lawyer replied, his voice cold and firm. Kelvin took a step closer. "You and I don't need to fight. We can work together. I can pay you. I have good money. Just move everything faster. Amanda's properties should be in my hands by now." The lawyer frowned. "Mr. Kelvin, I am a lawyer, not a market trader. I don't take bribes." Kelvin scoffed. "Oh, come on. Everyone has a price." "Not me," the lawyer said, shaking his head. "And for your information, the will reading has been moved. It will now take place in 1 month, not 2 weeks like we planned." Kelvin's eyes widened, incredulous. "What? 1 month? Are you mad?" The lawyer raised an eyebrow, unflustered. "It's a legal decision. We found new details that need review." Kelvin slammed his hand on the desk, a thunderous crack echoing in the quiet office. "You old fool! I'm beginning to suspect you. In fact, I think you and Amanda were lovers." The lawyer stared at him, unblinking. Kelvin's voice rose to a shout. "Yes! I said it! That woman was a demon. She was cheating on me with you. A stupid old man like you. You both deserve hell." The lawyer slowly rose to his feet. Enough. Kelvin continued his rant, oblivious. "You think I'm stupid? You think I don't know what's going on? You're using the law to block me because you're hiding something. Maybe you were hoping she'd give you a part of her wealth, too." The lawyer came around the desk, facing Kelvin eye to eye. "Let me tell you something, Mr. Kelvin," he said in a sharp, firm voice. "You are a fool. A foolish, lazy, and jobless man. Instead of mourning your wife, you are here throwing insults and looking for shortcuts. You didn't build anything with Amanda. You only enjoyed her sweat. Now she's gone, and you can't even pretend to be decent." Kelvin was silent for a moment, shocked into submission by the lawyer's biting words. Then he hissed, turned, and stormed out, banging the door behind him with a resounding crash. The lawyer sat down again, rubbing his forehead. He had known men like Kelvin all his life, greedy, loud, and weak inside. But he also knew that this particular case was dangerous. Amanda had warned him. That's why he had prepared for anything. That evening, while driving home, Mr. Olanier's car was speeding downhill. He pressed the brakes and nothing happened. His heart leaped into his throat. He tried again. Still nothing. The car flew off the road, flipping violently. It came to rest upside down. The driver slumped motionless inside. Mr. Olanier was dead. The next morning, the news broke. The lawyer handling Amanda Okesi's estate was dead. Car crash. Brake failure. No one suspected anything at first. It looked like a tragic accident. But in the shadows, Kelvin smiled. One less problem. However, what Kelvin didn't know was this. Mr. Olanier had a grown-up son, a strong, smart, and fearless young man named Barista Femi Olanier. He, too, was a lawyer, and he knew all about Amanda's case. His father had told him everything months ago. Femi returned to the office 4 days after he buried his father. He wore a black suit, his face calm, but inside, he was burning. His father was not just a lawyer. He was his hero. And now, someone had taken his life. Femi went straight to his father's desk, opened a locked drawer, and found the thick Amanda Okesi file. He smiled grimly to himself. "This is becoming interesting," he said under his breath. He sat down, picked up the phone, and made a call to the probate court. "Yes, this is Barista Femi Olanier. I'm taking over the Amanda Okesi case as next of kin and legal successor to my father. Yes, officially, no delay. Tell all parties the case continues under my care." He dropped the phone back into its cradle. Then he leaned back and whispered, "Let the game begin. Let the real game begin." Kelvin sat outside in the sprawling garden of Amanda's estate, sipping juice, a smug satisfaction on his face, as if the world truly belonged to him. He had just ended a call with a supposed investor, someone he hoped would help him fast-track the transfer of Amanda's properties. But things weren't moving as swiftly as he desired. People were starting to ask uncomfortable questions. Linda was growing restless. And ever since the lawyer's sudden death, Kelvin couldn't shake the feeling that someone was watching him. He had no concrete proof, but his instincts were sharp. He knew when something didn't feel right. Just as he was about to stand up and head inside, he heard approaching footsteps. He turned to see Amanda's father, Mr. Okzi, walking towards him. The old man looked tired, but his eyes held a steely determination, blazing with anger. Kelvin smiled bitterly. He didn't want to deal with the old man, but he remained seated. "What do you want, old man?" Kelvin asked, skipping any pretense of a greeting. Mr. Okzi walked directly up to him and, without preamble, declared, "I came to warn you." Kelvin raised an eyebrow, a dismissive sneer on his face. "Warn me about what?" "You will never get a single thing from my daughter's will," the old man stated, his voice ringing with conviction. "Never. I know who you are. I knew from the beginning. You are evil, a liar, a user. I should have stopped Amanda from marrying you." Kelvin slowly rose to his feet, now face to face with the old man. "And who are you to talk to me like that? You shameless poor man, go and work for your own money instead of chasing your daughter's property like a vulture. But Mr. Okzi didn't flinch. You lazy youth? You think living off a woman makes you a man? You are nothing but a thief hiding behind marriage. You and that useless Linda. Both of you will suffer. You think we don't know what you're doing? Kelvin's smile evaporated. I'm her husband. I have rights. You don't have anything, the old man retorted, his voice dripping with contempt. You were only a decoration in Amanda's life, a burden she carried. Now that she's gone, you want to claim what you never built? Kelvin hissed. Get out of here before I lose my patience. But Mr. Okzi didn't move. For your information, he said calmly, there is a new lawyer now, Barrister Femi Olanier. Yes, the late lawyer's son. Tall, strong, hard-working, smart. Not like you. A real man. You thought you succeeded in killing his father, but shame on you. That man has a son, and that son is coming for you. Kelvin's face twitched, a flicker of genuine shock in his eyes. Son? What son? The old man stepped even closer, his voice dropping to a chilling whisper. Yes, a son. You didn't know, because you are too busy chasing shortcuts. You didn't even ask questions before you danced on the man's grave. You killed a lawyer who had already told his son everything, every detail. Now that son is handling the case, and he is smarter than his father, better connected, more dangerous. Kelvin, I clenched his fists, his body tensing. Be careful what you say. Mr. Okzi laughed, a dry, humorless sound. Why? Are you going to take my life too? Just like you did to the lawyer. Let me tell you something. My eyes are on you. We are watching, and we are gathering evidence. When we are ready, you'll know what real shame feels like. Kelvin stayed silent, though his heart was pounding. He tried to hide his growing fear behind a facade of pride. The old man pointed at him, his finger shaking slightly. You better start looking for where to hide, because when the truth comes out, you and your snake of a girlfriend will fall hard. You wanted to steal from a dead woman. You wanted to enjoy her blood. You wanted to erase her family, but you will never succeed. Never. With that, the old man turned and walked away slowly. Kelvin stood there for a long time, breathing hard. The words cut deeper than he expected. He looked at the ground, then at the sky, and cursed under his breath. So this foolish lawyer had a son. Nobody knew about him, and now this foolish old man wouldn't let him rest. What kind of family is this? But deep inside him, fear had started to grow. Amanda's father was no longer afraid. The lawyer was dead, but now there was a replacement, a young, powerful one. And if they were truly gathering evidence, things could get very messy. Now, feeling a heavy weight of regret, Amanda's parents went to their daughter's supposed grave to apologize to her. The two of them stood there quietly, staring at the cold gray cement. The mother fell to her knees, tears streaming down her face, whispering, "My daughter, forgive me. I failed you. I should have cried for you. I should have prayed for your soul. But instead, I was busy chasing your wealth. I was angry that you didn't send us money. I didn't even think about what you were going through. I didn't know how hard it was for you. I was selfish." Her father stood beside her, his face heavy with guilt. "Amanda, my child, I warned you about Kelvin. I told you he wasn't the right man, but you didn't listen. Still, that didn't give us the right to fight like vultures over your name. We were wrong. We forgot you were more than your money. You were our child." The wind was calm that morning, Birds flew past the tree behind the grave as if listening. For the first time, Amanda's parents truly felt the crushing weight of her absence. They stood there for a long time, quietly praying, hoping somehow she could hear them. Meanwhile, in the city, Barrister Femi Olaniye was deep in his late father's files. He had already gathered a few crucial facts about the brake failure. The mechanic's report confirmed that the brake lines had been cut clean with a tool. It was no accident. Someone had meticulously planned the crash. Femi now believed it fully. His father was murdered. That morning, he secretly went to the police and submitted the damning evidence. An investigation was opened but kept strictly private. Femi was alone in his office that evening, surrounded by files and quiet, heavy thoughts. The case was growing heavier by the day. Too many lies, too many secrets. The evidence surrounding his father's death was pointing in one direction. Kelvin. But it wasn't enough. Not yet. The phone beside him rang, an unknown number. He picked it up, tired but curious. "Hello?" A calm voice spoke, soft but steady. "Good evening, Barrister Femi. Please don't panic. I'm Amanda Okesi." Femi's eyes went wide. He sat up straight, his fatigue instantly forgotten. "What did you just say?" "I'm Amanda," the voice repeated, calm and steady. "I'm alive. I need to see you. Don't tell anyone." The call ended before he could ask more. A message came in seconds later. It was an address, a wealthy gated estate on the quiet edge of the city. He grabbed his keys and left at once, his heart racing with a whirlwind of questions. When Femi arrived, the security at the estate let him in without a word. Someone had clearly spoken to them. The houses inside were large and quiet, boasting high fences and perfectly manicured lawns. He found the right one and parked. The gate was open. He walked into the compound, unsure of what he would witness. The house itself was beautiful, simple, and exuded an air of peace. Then the door opened, and she stepped out. Amanda. She looked nothing like the public photos. Her body was slimmer, her skin smooth and glowing. Her eyes, though tired, were calm. Femi stood utterly still, unable to speak. The woman the world had buried was standing in front of him, alive and breathtakingly real. "You're real," he finally managed to say, his voice a disbelieving whisper. She gave a gentle smile. "Very real. Come in." He followed her into the cool, well-furnished living room. "You really faked your death," he said slowly, the reality sinking in. She nodded. "I had to. I knew something was wrong. I felt it in my bones. People I trusted were changing. My husband, my best friend, even my parents. I needed to see who they truly were." Femi leaned forward, his curiosity piqued. "Why me? Why now?" Amanda looked him directly in the eye. "Because your father was my friend, my advisor, and now he's dead. I believe Kelvin caused that accident." Femi didn't even pause. "We believe that, too. We have the brake report. It was cut, not faulty. Someone did it. I'm working with 2 police contacts on the case already." Amanda nodded slowly. "I've been watching. I saw Kelvin at my funeral standing next to Linda like I never existed. I saw my parents fighting over my things like I was just a bank account. I saw Kayoma crying with no one to hold her. I stayed quiet, but now I know I'm tired of hiding." Femi studied her face, a complex mix of emotions swirling within him. "Are you ready to come back?" She breathed in deeply. "Almost. I want to do it the right way. I want the truth to come out by itself. I don't want revenge. I want to be seen as Amanda again, but this time wiser." They sat in silence for a while, the soft ticking of a clock in the corner the only sound. Then Amanda stood and walked to the window, gazing out. There was a time I thought Kelvin loved me. I gave him everything. I forgave his silence, his lies, even his distance. I thought Linda was my sister. I gave her more than she deserved. But in the end, they were watching me fail, waiting for the right moment. Now they're ready to eat what they didn't build. Femi stood too. He walked closer, then paused. Amanda, you are so beautiful, I must confess. You're even stronger than I thought you were. Your peace and power in one body. Amanda looked at him quietly. Thank you. Femi didn't say more. He picked up his files and walked to the door. I'll protect this secret. Until you're ready, and when you are, I'll stand beside you. She nodded gently. I'll be ready soon. He stepped out into the cool night air, his heart still racing. The woman they had buried was alive, and the storm that was coming would shake everything. Kelvin sat in the opulent living room, his hands shaking slightly. He looked out through the window, then back again. Something was not right. He could feel it. He turned to Linda, who was lounging on the sofa, scrolling idly through her phone. Baby, he said in a low voice, I need to talk to you. Linda looked up, raising one perfectly arched brow. What is it again? Kelvin lowered his voice, as if someone unseen might be listening. I don't know what's going on, but I feel like someone is following me. I feel like eyes are on me everywhere I go. In the car, at the supermarket, even last night when I went to get fuel, I swear someone was watching from the corner. Linda laughed, a dismissive sound. Kelvin, are you losing your mind? Who would be following you? He shook his head vehemently. I don't know. That's the thing. Maybe Amanda's people, maybe the police, maybe the new lawyer. I don't feel safe anymore. I think we need to leave town for now. Linda's smile vanished. She sat up straight, her posture rigid. Leave town for what? Baby, we've come this far. Now is not the time to run. We need to stay and fight. We need to take over everything. You were her husband. It's your right. This is not the time to act weak. Kelvin rubbed his hands together nervously. But this doesn't feel right. Everything is quiet, too quiet. That's how danger hides. And Amanda's parents are not letting go. That old man is always watching me like a hawk. Linda stood up and walked to him. She cupped his face in her hands and smiled, a cold, reassuring gesture. Forget them. If Amanda's parents don't back off, they will soon join their ancestors. Simple. They're old. They're stubborn. And they are in our way. You need to be strong. Kelvin nodded slowly. Yes, baby. You're right. Those people are always on my nerves, especially that foolish old man who calls himself Amanda's father. Very useless man. Always pretending to be noble. By the time I'm done with him, he will regret ever knowing me. Linda kissed his cheek. That's my baby. That's the Kelvin I love. Let's not run. Let's finish what we started. Meanwhile, across town, inside Amanda's family house, things had taken a different turn. Kayoma was sitting with her mother and father in the living room. The air was quiet and heavy with shared emotion. Her father spoke first, his voice laced with regret. Kayoma, we want to say we're sorry for everything, for how we behaved after Amanda's death. We lost our way. Her mother wiped her eyes, fresh tears welling up. We were so blinded by what she left behind. We forgot the person. We should have mourned her. We should have remembered her kindness, not fought like animals over her wealth. Her father added, his voice thick with remorse. We prayed last night and asked God to forgive us, and we hope Amanda can forgive us too. Keoma held both their hands, a sense of quiet peace settling over her. She will. Wherever she is. I believe she hears us. She loved you both. She always did. Her mother hugged her tightly. Thank you, my child. You are your sister's heart. Her father held them both close. It was the first time in a long time they all sat together in peace. Then, Keoma remembered something. She wiped her face and said, I almost forgot. Both her parents looked at her. The lawyer called me today. He said the will reading is in 5 days. It will happen in Amanda's house. They all looked at one another, a silent acknowledgement. It was finally happening. The moment that would tell them what Amanda had planned before her supposed death. They hugged again, this time with tears rolling freely down their faces. This time, it wasn't about property. It was about closure. Far away in a luxury apartment on the island, Kelvin's phone buzzed. He picked it up and smiled wide. Message just came in, babe, he said to Linda. The will reading will be in 5 days. Linda clapped her hands, her excitement palpable. Finally! I'm so ready. Kelvin was grinning hard, showing all his teeth. I can't wait. We'll take over everything and disappear. I already told you, once it's done, we'll travel the world. Paris, London, Dubai, first class everything. We'll live like true royalty. Linda laughed, her eyes sparkling with avarice. Yes, baby. Me and you forever. This is our time. Kelvin raised his glass to freedom, to wealth, to finally living the life Amanda had been too proud to give them. They clinked glasses and drank, believing they had already won. But what they didn't know was this: the woman they had buried was waiting for them, watching, listening. The day had finally come. The will reading was scheduled for noon inside Amanda's opulent mansion. The atmosphere was thick with tension. Amanda's parents arrived early, dressed modestly. A quiet solemnity about them. Keoma sat quietly beside them, her gaze fixed on the front of the room. Femi stood there, going through the last legal documents, his presence commanding. The room was hushed, but heavy with anticipation. Then, the front gate opened slowly. Kelvin walked in confidently, holding Linda's hand, a new suit accentuating his swagger. Linda walked beside him, a triumphant smirk playing on her lips. Kelvin looked around the room, his eyes sweeping over the gathered family. Finally, he whispered to Linda, a cruel edge to his voice. Our time has come. He walked past Amanda's parents without a greeting, his gaze fixed straight ahead. Linda squeezed his hand and whispered, I can't wait to see the look on their faces when your name is called. Kelvin laughed softly, a low, guttural sound. I hope they cry. Femi cleared his throat and stood at the head of the room, commanding attention. We will begin now. I thank everyone for being here. This will is important, not just because of the wealth involved, but because of the woman behind it, Amanda Okesi. Everyone grew quiet. Some heads bowed in a semblance of respect. Femi continued. This will is legal, binding, and was written in full health and presence of mind. Before I read it, however, I must inform everyone that something has changed. Something major. Just then, the front door opened slowly, almost silently. They all turned, their heads swiveling in unison, and then they saw her. Amanda, alive, standing tall and ethereal, dressed in white, her face calm, her presence radiating an undeniable power. Keoma gasped, covering her mouth with a trembling hand. Her mother stood, tears instantly streaming down her face as she began to sob. Her father, his legs giving way, crumpled to his knees. The entire room froze, a tableau of shock and disbelief. Kelvin's jaw dropped, his face paling. Linda, her eyes wide with terror, instinctively stepped behind him as if she had seen a ghost. Amanda walked slowly to the very center of the room and turned to face them all, her gaze sweeping over each person. "I'm not dead," she said clearly, her voice resonating through the stunned silence. "I never was. But today something else will be buried. Lies, greed, betrayal, and wickedness." The silence in the room was absolute, heavy with the weight of her words. The silence in the room was so deep it could cut stone. Kelvin tried to speak, stammering. "Amanda, we buried Ma..." Amanda held up her hand, a gesture of absolute authority. "Don't speak. You've done enough." She turned her piercing gaze to Linda. "You held my hand and stabbed my back. You wore black to my funeral while you were warming my husband's bed. You even stood next to my coffin like you cared. Shame will follow you everywhere you go." Linda began to beg, tears welling in her eyes. "Amanda, please, I didn't mean—" "Save it," Amanda snapped, her voice like steel. "I watched you. I listened. I know everything." She turned to the lawyer. "Femi, please continue." But before he could speak, police officers stepped inside the room. Two walked straight to Kelvin. "Mr. Kelvin," one officer stated, his voice devoid of emotion, "you are under arrest for the murder of Barrister Olanier. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say may be used against you in court." The entire room gasped, a collective intake of breath. Kelvin began to shake, his face contorting in terror. "No, no, no, this is a mistake!" he shouted. "I didn't kill anyone!" Amanda stepped forward, her voice clear and strong. "You did. You killed a good man because he protected me. Because he stood in the way of your greed. And now the law stands in your way." Kelvin turned desperately to Linda. "Baby, help me. Say something." But Linda moved back, fear etched on her face. "I told you we should have left town. I told you this was getting scary." The police dragged Kelvin out, his screams echoing through the mansion. "Amanda, please! Amanda, forgive me! Amanda, I loved you!" But Amanda said nothing. Later that week, Kelvin was found guilty of conspiracy and murder. He was sentenced to life in prison without parole. As for Linda, shame followed her like a shadow. Even when she came to Amanda weeks later, crying and begging for forgiveness, Amanda didn't open the door. She simply sent a message. "I don't hate you, but I will never forgive you. Not in this life." Linda broke down outside the gate. She cried and shouted, tried to curse Amanda, then blamed the devil, then blamed love. But none of it mattered. She had lost everything: her friend, her name, her future. Amanda sat quietly in the living room of her mansion as her parents stood before her. They looked broken and deeply ashamed. Her father cleared his throat, his voice heavy. "Amanda, my daughter, we have come to say sorry. We let greed blind us. We didn't mourn you. We didn't protect your name. We fought over your things instead of protecting your memory. Please, forgive us." Her mother wiped her eyes. "We should have stood by Kioma. We should have trusted you. But we let money control our hearts. From today, we are no longer that kind of people. We are sorry, deeply sorry." Amanda looked at them for a long moment, a complex mix of hurt and understanding in her eyes. Then she spoke softly. "I forgive you. You're my parents. You failed me, but I see your regret. I just pray you have truly changed. Let love guide you, not money. I don't need anything from you. Just be better." Her mother began crying again and held Amanda's hands tightly. Her father bowed his head or whispered, "Thank you, my daughter." Time passed. Amanda focused on rebuilding her life. She stayed away from public noise and kept only those who truly cared close. She mended her relationship with her parents slowly, carefully, watching them change for the better. But her strongest bond was with Kioma. They were inseparable, a testament to true sisterly love. Amanda also started a foundation in Femi's late father's name, dedicated to supporting young lawyers who fought for justice. Femi became a trusted friend and a key figure in her revamped business. The past was a painful memory, but Amanda had found a new peace, a new purpose. She was no longer just the woman who had faked her death. She was the woman who had truly come back to life, truly cared close to her. One of those people was Barrister Femi. He had protected her secret. He had stood by her without asking for anything in return. Slowly, their quiet friendship deepened, blossoming into something more profound. 1 month later, they began dating, and 6 months after that, they were married in a small, peaceful ceremony, surrounded only by a few true friends and close family members. Amanda smiled that day, as she hadn't in years. Femi brought her peace, not problems. He loved her for who she was, not for what she had, and they lived happily ever after, far from drama and noise. As for Linda, her life took a dark, desolate turn. After Kelvin was sentenced to life in prison, she became the most hated woman in the city. No one wanted to work with her. Her calls went unanswered. She was forced to move into a tiny, dilapidated room in the slums. She tried desperately to cling to her pride, but shame followed her like an inescapable shadow. Months later, she found herself pregnant by a roadside mechanic who vanished as soon as he learned the news. She would sit alone every night, gazing at her swollen belly, her mind consumed by thoughts of Amanda's mansion, the luxury cars, and the life she had so carelessly thrown away for the sake of insatiable greed. She tried to blame everyone else for her misfortune, but in the end, deep down, she knew it was all her own fault.